In the summer of 2021, I ran my first ever ultramarathon, London to Brighton, a 100-kilometer trail ultramarathon. I remember during the race thinking it was so hard, so tough, and I remember how it just pushed me to my physical limits. Upon crossing the finish line, one thought entered my head, and that was that running ultramarathons was for me. Since then, I've ran another 10 ultramarathons, including 50Ks, a 50-miler, a few more 100Ks, and a 100-mile ultramarathon. I absolutely love this race format. In this video, I'll share how running ultramarathons changed my life. Firstly, they've taught me that I can achieve a lot more than I think I'm capable of. Prior to running my first ultra, I looked at ultramarathons as a sport for superhuman, elite, gifted, talented runners with lots of ability for running in general. Me, on the other hand, I was doing half marathons and 10Ks, a few marathons. I never thought in my wildest dreams I'd be able to run so far in one go. Whilst I trained hard, I ate well, I put in the miles. On race day, when I rocked up at the start line, I got the imposter syndrome and I didn't expect to finish. But when I did see the finishing line at the end of that 100 kilometers, something flicked like a switch inside me and I started to realize that I was capable of achieving a lot more. And moving forward, I've applied this to my running by entering and completing challenging, difficult races, and I've applied it elsewhere in my life where I opt to take on more challenging, more adventurous projects and tasks. Secondly, running ultramarathons has allowed me to develop my strategy skills. If I could summarize ultramarathons in one word, it would be strategy. Taking on an ultramarathon is a massive undertaking and so much goes into it. There's lots of things to think about and many unknowns on race day which can change your game plan. The distance, the terrain, the elevation gain and descent, the weather, the wind speed, your training, nutrition, equipment, gear. You get the idea. There's lots to think about when it comes to ultramarathons in not only your plan for the day, but also being able to adjust and tweak that plan on the fly, depending on what happens during the race. So whilst you may have planned to run at a certain pace, if you get to the halfway point and your legs are really hurting, then you need to tweak your pace momentarily to make sure you don't blow up and have to pull out of the race. Similarly, you may find that you need to eat and drink a lot more than you'd originally planned for during the race because you're actually able to run harder and better than you had initially expected. Strategy skills for ultramarathons come in three main parts. They include planning for a good race, adjusting that plan on the fly during the race, and reflecting on what happened and what could be improved moving forwards after the race. Strategy skills are really important for many facets of our day-to-day lives, not just in running. So I've been really grateful to develop those during my ultramarathon journey. Thirdly, ultramarathons has given me an appreciation of nature. Whilst I liked the occasional stroll through country parks and walks through woodland areas before, I never really gave nature the respect it deserves, and I certainly didn't appreciate it. The majority of ultramarathons take place in rural areas and trails. So these are woodlands, fields, forests, mountain paths, sometimes even on deserts, and they can really expose you to a variety of beautiful, stunning scenery which can challenge you and captivate you all at the same time. Taking part in ultramarathons has pushed me onto the trails, and I found that I really enjoy being out and about in nature. And it's a well-known fact that there are loads of mental health and positivity benefits associated with being outside in nature. And it's also a fantastic break from the day-to-day busyness of our lives, especially if you happen to live in a busy town like myself. Next, I've enjoyed being part of a welcoming, friendly and helpful community. For those involved in the ultra running space, you'll know that there's a large community of runners dedicated to the ultra running world that congregate in online forums, discussion boards, groups, pages, and also in person at clubs and at organised ultra running training sessions. It's fantastic being part of such a helpful community where people want to make connections, learn things from other runners, and help each other achieve each other's ultra running goals. I particularly like ultra marathons during the actual race day itself because I think it's a really good opportunity to actually meet and speak to other runners during the race as it unfolds. This is in contrast to faster, more intense races like half marathons and marathons, where you tend to be going flat out for the whole race. There's not really much chance to catch your breath and speak to other runners on the actual race course itself. Particularly, I like meeting other runners and getting to know about their ultra running journey, why they're doing ultra running in the first place, and what their goals are. I also get really inspired when I'm speaking to a runner during the latter half of an ultra marathon and they're clearly struggling, they're not in a good headspace, but despite this, they push on, they keep going because they really want to overcome their goals and push their limits to see what they're capable of. If ultra marathons have changed your life, let me know how in the comments down below. Thanks very much for watching. I've been Craig, this is Running Cafe, and I'll see you again in the next one.